So just so you know, guys, those who are there, the event was just incredible as far as the venue, how it was set up. Around the venue at the top, you had like all these boutiques and gears, and of course the diamonds. And it made some people dream. They just look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe, I want to wear one of those diamonds." So you guys can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's Kathy trying one of those rings, and we had prizes, right? Big prizes. That was exciting. People were, with their tickets trying to see if they would win, and we got our friend Marcus with the big ring that he won. I mean, what an incredible thing! Get on stage, get that huge ring, and then you had, this energy, because we wanted the event to be something that people participate in. So there was all these exercises, and you've got my two buddies here, Yuri and Danny, and of course our famous Werner, who's jumping up and down. So that was a pretty fun thing. And events are the place to meet people. So one of the things you got to do is when you go to an event, make sure you introduce your team to key people who are there at the event. Right, and of course, Fred Cooper was there. So guess what we did? Took some pictures with Fred. Then we had Lisa, and I see Lisa is actually on the webinar tonight. And Lisa has become famous throughout ARIIX as someone who lost a lot of weight. So we did a lineup. We say, "Hey, Lisa, we need our team to take pictures with you." So that's one of the things you guys need to do, is take pictures with the executives, but also teammates who are in the business. So those are some of the things you want to do. And we have, Deanna, we have, of course, Allison here, Ian. And so there was, tons of pictures. I could just go on and on and on. Then, you've got recognition. Well, for us, it was a special moment because Tim and Laura actually offered Claudia for basically some of the accomplishment we have made. And they were so gracious and, said, "Hey, we've never done this, and this is going to be a first, and we want to thank you for what you've done." So it was a special moment, a little bit of tears for Claudia and I, but those are some of the moments where you want to bring your team, and if there's rewards and things you can do, make sure you do that. And boy, this picture, by the way, the one that's on the left, I was actually, Claudia and I were like there. It's like a little booth over there. And so we see nobody's watching. Like, let's go take some crazy pictures. And next thing you know is that picture goes on the front of ARIIX Corporate. And anyway, so we had that. And of course, we met some legends. They even had their own banners. I can't believe. So we had to take a picture with them. And one of the things you want to do is you got to make sure you bring your team together. And Claudia has been so great at that. What she did is she said, "Hey, let's we got a team from Quebec coming in Airbnb. And so we had people that basically came together. We rented an Airbnb, and she organized like all kinds of things. And let's go out. Let's make sure supper and everybody is feel included. And also the gala and the that special evening, getting the team together, right? And you got to make your team feel special. That's very important that you do that. Of course, sharing the stage with teammates, that's fun. Like all of you, that's one of the things you need to do is before you go to an event, rank advance. Like get on stage, get your picture taken, because that will give you a lot of mileage as you go back home and you post those pictures, everywhere. We covered so many things like dreams, belief, vision, inspiration, duplication, transformation, learn about products, mindset, Facebook. That was our session. And that was me on stage with a couple teammates. And Vincent is sharing how he loves to travel. And that's basically how he brands himself on the Facebook. And then the history of ARIIX. That was just fun to hear Steve talk about that. So lots of things to learn. Now, teammates, here's the thing, and this is the cool part. Now I'm going after the event and what's going on is we have teammates that have their own plan. I got to get this thing going. And I heard, you saw in the chat, all the people getting into the action, Annabelle and others getting on board and making sure that, hey, I got to make the most from this event. So what do? Is you create game plans. You do stuff with your team. So Ariana, after the event, she stayed in Salt Lake, met with a teammate, and really made plans to build a business to another level. We had this guy right here on the right, and what happened is he came as a guest of Annie. Well, Annie is one of our teammates, and she brought her boyfriend, basically husband, over there to the event because he wanted to support her, but he's never been involved in the business. Well, next thing you know is right after the event, she's texting me and say, "Hey, Stephane, it's crazy. He's now making his list, trying to see who he's going to get in touch with, and he's now coming on board, helping her build the business." All right. Now, of course, the event, here's what's happening. This is Stephane. Most of you have seen him on stage. He's doing Facebook Lives and stuff everywhere. Now, at the event, he was on the street doing lives with Arlene and other people. And he said, "Stephane, I come back from the event. I'm here at the event doing all the pictures and videos and Facebook Lives. I come back, I'm signing up about a customer a day, and he's got a bunch of people, interested in the business. He says, all I'm doing is sharing my trips and all of this, and people want to participate. They want to live that life." And he says, now, because of that event, I'm growing my business. And so he says, I can't miss another event. So guess what he did? He booked Rome. So he's going to Italy in a month because he says, I cannot afford not to go because the events are impactful in my business, not just for me personally, but because of everything I'm posting and getting in, following up with my prospects. And so now I've got people wanting to join the business, buying the products because I was at an event. So I'm going to go to the next one and just take my business to the next level. And of course, one of the things you want to do is some people are shy. They don't want to, they're not sure of some things. Maybe either they're afraid of talking to prospects, or in this example, Angie, she was afraid of doing Facebook Live. So guess what I did? We're in the Airbnb. She says, I said, what? You have never done a Facebook Live? So I put my phone and she says, no. And boom, we're live. And she's live on my phone on the Facebook Live. So what I'm telling you here, guys, is people are excited. This is the time, their energy level is at the top. So get them to do the stuff that they're scared of doing when their energy is high. This is what you do. You break the ice and you get people in action. So that's one of the things we did. And then right after the event, here's what's happening. So this is Yuri and Danny. And Danny messages me right after the event. And he said, 6 meetings booked today, 7 meetings to be done tomorrow and Tuesday. I will rock to the sky. So he's just on fire. Things are happening. We got appointments. And there's already 3 new members on his team today from one of his downline that we did a live at the event. And let me show you 3 more slides. I'm done. And so this is Mark. And Mark was, we visited the home office together. And he calls me and he says, I'm at the airport. And he says, hey, hey, buddy, I need a plan of action. I need some strategy and I need to get things going. And I said, well, Mark, I don't know what kind of plan of action you need because it's right here. And Tim has been talking about this forever. We don't need a huge business plan that we present to a bank or something like that. Our plan is right there. Is all you need to do is do more of these activities, right? You generate more leads, contacts more people, appointments, presentation, follow-up, and then you're going to get customers and reps. That's what the energy from the event does, is it gets you on fire to do those activities. That's the business plan. It all revolves around that. So I'm going to read just a text real quick that my friend Calvin sent to Tim a few hours ago. And he called me and he said that to me on the phone. But Tim got the message, so I said, send it to me. And he said, I sat next to the chief of police from a small city 2 hours from Salt Lake. He was on a plane. He says, I established a greeting, which Tim talked about in the inviting formula. But the qualifying stage seemed to take a little longer. I worked on maintaining a sincere, friendly facial expression, which Tim taught at the event on Sunday. Yep. And I encouraged him to talk to the point where he apologized for all the details. We had a 3+ hour flight, which we talked for almost the entire flight. At one point, he told me that he needed to lose about 30 pounds. He's active, but nothing seems to work. He's 43 years old. I showed him some pictures of my weight loss. Then I had him enter his contact info in my phone. He will be in Florida with his family for 10 days. So after we disembark the plane, I sent him a brief text. Nice to meet you. I hope you and your family have a great time in Florida. He responded to the text in a positive way. I also applied listening and not trying to think of what I was going to say. So I have 2 pages of note on him. I will follow up. Thank you for introducing me to ARIIX and all the high-profile folks. There you go. Okay, I just wanted to cover real quick those kind of things because I think you guys need to see that all we're doing with these events is giving you the belief that there's a possibility that you can do it. That you can like get into action. The difference between someone who's where you are and where you want to go is a number of people that you talk to. That's what it is. So what we're trying to do with these events is try to connect our team, get them to believe more in the company, in the executives, and in introducing them to other people who've been in the field building, and then, get them into the action, right? Real quick, let's get things going. And then you create these bonds. Like my wife has been setting up all these things to make sure that everybody is included and we do stuff together. We go to restaurants and all of that. So we do this to help our team believe they can do it, get excited, and take action. And what I love about ARIIX is we've got such amazing quality people who know this game and teach you skills. It's not just about rah-rah, about all of these things that, hey, you just want a car and all of that. It's also about very specific things you can do to take action and get results in your business. And so there you go. I just wanted to share some of these thoughts with you guys. And so Rick, where do we go next?
So do you mind pulling up that slide presentation that you had and go to your second to the last slide? Okay, let's go. It's the pipeline.
Yeah, the pipeline right here.
Yeah, perfect. So I had an opportunity, and I am so honored to be able to be a part of working with leaders. I am so inspired every day, and Stephane, you're no exception. I mean, I love working together with you. I love your energy. When we've come to Quebec, you guys are such great hosts, and I just, with the size of your team that was there at the event, I mean, my first thought was a very selfish thought. It's like, whoa, great, I get to get back to Quebec soon, which I love. But I was working together with Tim one night, and we were talking through this process because, we were just talking through the process. And I asked him a question. I said, Tim, can you guarantee a 100% success rate for someone who follows this process religiously over and over again? He thought about it for a minute. He said, absolutely. I can guarantee someone's success if they follow this process over and over again. And that's just what Stephane said. He said, the difference between someone that's achieving success and there's someone that may not be is that they're moving more people through this pipeline. It's really as simple as that. Now, and I'm not going to name any names, but you're going to know who you are because you asked me this question on this call. And I couldn't see if you're on here, but please don't get mad at me. A person asked me, well, my hang up is I don't know how to keep track. What's the best mechanism to keep track? Because that's what's holding me back. And I said, no, that's not holding you back. How many people do you have in the pipeline right now? I mean, seriously, how many people do you have in the pipeline right now? And I know that. I know the answer is maybe 2 or 3. Well, I don't know about you, but I can keep track of 2 or 3 people on a piece of paper. That's not what's holding you back. What's holding you back is having more than enough people on this pipeline for you to keep track of, then figure out how to keep track of the additional ones. So I'm going to put you on the spot as well, Stephane. Have you found in your career following this process that you can guarantee somebody, if they follow this enough, that they will be successful?
Well, I'm proof of that. You know, I was the guy that would talk to people, but yes, I would be hesitant because I didn't know what to say, how to say it, and so I focused on the skills, because this is what the pipeline is all about. Is it also teaches you where to work, like where to improve. So if you're stuck because you don't have a list, well, you need to figure out a way to get a list of leads to talk to. And then if you're afraid to contact them, maybe it's because you don't know what to say on the phone. So you need to work on that, okay? And then become good at it. And then when you call them and you're not getting an appointment, it's probably because you're saying the wrong thing or the wrong way you're saying it. So work on how to be able to get appointments. So work with your outline of what you're saying. And the same through the entire process. And so I did that, but I wasn't doing it right. And then I learned these different pieces, improved, and boy, we've made quite a bit of money with this thing. And so, yeah, if they follow this, it's not just a direction, a path of what to do, but also what to work on to do those steps right. And that's all it is. Now, how many times are you going to see people go through, through university to become a doctor, and they're going to spend years and years to develop skills that will reward them more than a regular job? Well, we don't have to spend 10 years in a university. We spend a couple weeks learning the skills of these things. And once you master them, forget this, just put a number of people through the process. You're going to get people pop out of there as customers and reps. So I totally agree. We put anybody through this, we're going to identify where the problem is, fix it, and get results.
Amen. It's like a sprinkler, and keep this up because I want everybody, if you have not already done that, I want you to pull out your phones and take a picture of this page. Because you're hearing from Stephane Page, who is a top leader in the company. You heard from Tim Sales, who's a top leader in this company, that following this process enough times will create and guarantee you success. If a leader was telling me that, man, I would be taking pictures of this thing. But then it's like a sprinkler system. And I know that anybody who's ever had a sprinkler understands what I'm talking about. You have a hose that's connected to your hose bib on the house, and you have a sprinkler at the end, and you turn the water on full blast and the sprinkler doesn't go. Well, what's the problem? There's a leak somewhere. And that's what Stephane was describing. Where is your leak or leaks? Is it generating leads? Remember there was an A-team call a couple of weeks ago, and I invited as homework for each of you to recreate your list. How many of you did not do that? We can teach you the pipeline. We can teach you the skills. What we can't do is be there to do it for you. So as Stephane said, if your leak is in generating leads and you haven't recreated your list, now is the time to go back and recreate your list. Jared Burnett, who was on this call a few months ago, he was the younger guy that I had brought on. He said something about the very first thing that he does to determine if somebody is really serious about building a business is he says, create your list, and he gives them 24 hours to do it. Create your list, and I want you to call me back tomorrow, or maybe it was 2 days, with your top 10 and an appointment to call the top 2. If they won't do that, then he says, I put them on a different list. They're not serious, because that's a simple activity, and that's following through kind of the first 2 steps. Now, with that in mind, and sorry, I didn't mean to talk that much, Stephane, but those are all validating points to exactly what you're sharing tonight. So the question I have, and I love that from Charles, the message that he said about meeting somebody on the plane, because I love that he was frustrated that he didn't get to the invitation. I love that. because it showed that he was really understanding what a greeting is, what a contact is. So that's probably could be part of the longest part of the process, couldn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes we're too much in a rush to get people, right, to get them on board, and we approach them with an agenda. And so if we don't do that and focus just on the step we're at now, and I think it was Tiger Woods who said that, when he's on the golf course, he's not thinking about the 18th hole. All he focuses about is the one he's trying to get right now. That's it. So that's why when you're talking to someone, is focus on where you are now. You're in the greeting. Just accomplish the greeting. The greeting is to get the person to talk freely and openly to you. Accomplish that. Do a great greeting. And then through that greeting, you'll figure out all kinds of avenues to probably find if they would qualify for either your products or your business. And that's what Calvin did. He figured out that this guy wants to lose weight. And he probably learned a lot about his weight loss journey and all these things. So guess what's going to happen is next time he talks to him, how easy is it going to be to invite him? Super easy.
Amen. Amen. So I was having a conversation with someone today who brought up the objection that products are too expensive. And I went back to the same skills and explain to them the same skills as you do when you're greeting with somebody. You're paying attention. You're being observant. And I noticed that the guy was wearing an expensive shirt, and he had a Rolex on. And the first thing I said to him, I said, "Well, I see that you have a nice Timex on your arm." And the guy said, "Well, this isn't a Timex. This is a Rolex." I said, "Yeah, your watch is way too expensive." And he kind of looked at me and he went, "Oh, I get it." So I didn't have to know anything. Now, do I know something? Yeah. But I think we all are in such a hurry and the fear is, well, I don't know what to say. But a lot of times, if you're just observant, then you don't have to say anything that special. And that's what I think is a big holdback for people. So I know that you agree with that, not because I said it, but because you agree with it.
It's just it's just respecting the other person and listening.
Yeah.
Tim
told a great story about being on an airplane and the guy that he spoke with. And Tim is a master. There's nobody on this call, but if you'll notice that part of the story, he said, "I couldn't figure out at first what to do to break the ice." He wanted to. He could see this guy was a professional. Even Tim was a little intimidated. He won't say it that way, but that's exactly what he was saying. Because he didn't want to say the wrong thing, or he didn't want to come across as being that guy. But notice that the plug came unplugged. He was observant. He watched. He waited. Sometimes I think you're right. I think we're so desperate, and I'm not saying we are desperate. We act desperate to get the lead to do something, when if we weren't that way and it just invited the communication, it would come so much easier. Now, you're a master at that as well, and you've been perfecting it for a long time. What are some of the tricks that you have, and when I say trick, I mean it in a very positive way, but what are some of the tricks that you've had and found that were successful?
Yeah, the number one, because I was not very good at greeting. My father, and you know him, he can talk about anything for hours, and he's going to listen and he's going to engage. My mom, she's quiet. She doesn't say a word, and I'm just like her. And so for me, my father was like a model to me. I wish I would have been great at talking to people, be an extrovert, right? And so for me, the greeting was the toughest thing because I didn't know what to talk about. The person says, I love going to the gym. Oh, cool. What else? I mean, what am I going to ask him? So I had to force myself to figure out a way, a strategy. So when you talk about trick, this is my best trick for greeting. So any one of you who's an introvert, you're going to love this and start to practice it this week. So what I did is I would listen to someone's answer. So when I would ask them something and they would say, I don't know, let's say you, Rick. So Rick, what kind of work do you do?
Well, I'm in the health and wellness industry.
Health and wellness. Tell me more about that. Like what part of health and wellness?
Well, I work for a company that focuses on health and wellness products in a lot of different areas. So from personal care to nutrition to skincare, things like that.
So you say you work for a company, so it's not your company?
No, I'm not one of the owners.
Okay. Have you ever thought of being an owner?
Oh, sorry, I was crying.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of being an owner of a company?
Yeah, I wish I was an owner in this company.
You wish? Why wish?
Well, what do you mean?
Okay, I'm going to stop here. Okay, so that you guys can follow. What I just did is I took every phrase he gave me, found a keyword, and asked a question about that keyword. Okay, so he said, I'm a health and wellness company. Health, what kind of health? Okay, that was the keyword I picked from that phrase. It doesn't matter which keyword, but pick a word and ask a question about it. And he says, yeah, I work for a company, and so, oh, you work for a company, so you're not the owner. No, I wish I would be the owner. Why wish? Okay, did you see? I took the health, I took company, I took owner, I took wish. From every phrase he gave me, I picked a keyword and I asked him another question about what he just said, and I used his words. Okay, so I could have gone on. You could see it was just flowing. Why? Because I was using his words in the answers and asking more questions, being interested in him. But if I come up with, okay, so what do you do for a living? I work with a health company. Oh, good. You have kids? Yes. What kind of things do you like to do? You see how it's all disconnected? You're just trying to do the greeting, but the wrong way. Instead of focusing on what they tell you and focusing back on those answers and asking more questions, you're going all over the place. So this week, this is the one thing you need to do, is pick their phrase, find the keyword, doesn't matter which one, because it's their words, and ask another question about what they just told you. That's my best trick.
Boom. So I used to have a philosophy when I learned this way back in junior high school. If the teacher would call on me to give an answer and I had no idea what the answer was, I would just start talking. I would talk about anything that I could think of because I knew eventually I would get around to being close to the answer. And I mean, it used to drive my teachers crazy. But the reality is, I think that this call was a little like that, except for everything you had set up to that point in time was all really valuable and important. What you just said is the thing that people are going to remember the most. And I don't want to just invite you all to do this. This is an accountability call. This is an accountability team. In fact, the A team originally, Allison made me change it. So if you're on there, Allison, I had it called the accountability team. And she said, no, let's have it be the action team. So people will get into action. I think it's a little of both. But what Stephane is saying, I challenge you, each one of you on this call, tomorrow, before noon. I'm going to be really specific. Before noon tomorrow, I challenge each one of you to meet somebody new somewhere. It can be a phone call. It could be a conversation that you have at a supermarket. It can be at the coffee store tomorrow morning. I mean, how many of you stop by and get coffee in the morning? I know a lot of you do. Strike up a conversation with someone new and put this to the test. I challenge you, each one of you, to do it. Now, I'm not going to ask for you to raise your hands because I can't see most of you. But the reality is I want you to hold yourself accountable to this. If you really want to learn these skills, don't just listen to the calls. Don't just say, that was the best thing I've ever heard, and then tomorrow nothing changes. Again, it's the same thing that I said at the beginning of this call. I had a mentor of mine from New York, and he was very crude, but everything he said was like this little tidbit. And he used to say, and I know you've heard this phrase, but he'd say, it's like peeing in a dark suit. It feels good for the moment, but it makes no lasting impression. So don't be that person that felt changed this weekend and the next day you just settled right back into the same patterns that you were in. Use this. Like Stephane said, he showed all those pictures of people. There was a purpose to that. It wasn't that look at this great time we had. It's that all of these people were putting that energy to use in building your business to the next level. And if you don't, you'll miss that opportunity. Now, have you missed that opportunity if you haven't done it yet? No, because you're still on a high. But don't miss it. Don't let it go another day. Take the challenge to heart. Tomorrow, before noon, promise yourself that you will be somewhere where you'll meet somebody new. If you work out of your house and you don't get up till noon, then shame on you. If you get up at 6 and go to an office and you go to your cubicle and you don't talk to anybody that you haven't talked to for a while, shame on you. Find an opportunity to be somewhere to talk to someone new tomorrow and put this to the test.